A famous paradox lies at the heart of modern men's fashion. A suit that looks so simple it borders on boring can cost 10 to 15 standard business suits. In pure dollar terms, it can rival a Rolex Submariner, a watch Americans widely recognize as a global marker of success, yet this suit has no oversized logo, no visual flex, no obvious attempt to impress. It is deliberately restrained, and still, it keeps showing up in the same places. Wall Street boardrooms, closed-door investor conferences, Hollywood press tours, the Oscar red carpet. The suit in question is the Black Label or made-to-measure line by Giorgio Armani, typically priced between $10,000 and $25,000. Out of 1,000 Americans, maybe one or two have ever worn an Armani suit in the $3,000 to $10,000 range or higher. These are not trend chasers. They are not trying to stand out. They are usually executives, senior attorneys, financiers, or top-tier figures in entertainment. People whose authority does not need explanation. That is where the discomfort begins. If the suit does not signal wealth, does not chase fashion cycles, and does not even look expensive at first glance, why do powerful people keep choosing it? Why does something so visually quiet command the same price territory as luxury watches or high-end cars? And perhaps the deeper question is this: how did a design philosophy built on softness, discretion, and understatement dominate men's tailoring for nearly 50 years in an industry addicted to novelty? To understand that, you have to stop seeing this suit as clothing and start seeing it as a language of power, a language that speaks fluently, confidently, and never needs to raise its voice. Giorgio Armani suits are more than just clothing. They represent a philosophy of dressing, a philosophy built on restraint, balance, and quiet confidence rather than display or excess. At first glance, an Armani suit can seem almost too ordinary. There are no flashy logos, no exaggerated cuts, no obvious signals of wealth. In a luxury world that often shouts for attention, Armani deliberately chooses to speak softly. And that is where the mystery begins. Because despite their understated appearance, these suits are priced alongside luxury watches, high-end cars, and multiple years of rent in major American cities. They are not worn by trend chasers or fashion maximalists. Instead, they are chosen by people who are already established: chief executive officers, senior attorneys, politicians, movie stars, people whose status does not need visual confirmation. This creates a quiet contradiction. If these suits do not look expensive, do not follow trends, and do not try to impress at first glance, why do the most powerful people in the room continue to choose them? That question sits at the center of this video. Why are Giorgio Armani suits so expensive, even though they look so ordinary? To answer that, we have to look beyond fabric and tailoring, and understand what Armani actually sells. Not spectacle, not fashion statements, but control, credibility, and a very specific kind of authority that reveals itself only to those who already understand it. To understand that, we have to start at the beginning. Before the 1970s, men's tailoring followed one rigid rule. Power had to look heavy. A proper suit was stiff, structured, and almost architectural. Thick shoulder pads created a boxy, military silhouette. Heavy linings locked the upper body into place. Authority came from sharp angles and physical weight. Comfort was not the goal. Impression was. In banks, law firms, and political offices, the suit functioned as a uniform of hierarchy and control. Then Giorgio Armani arrived and quietly dismantled the entire system. Instead of adding structure, Armani began removing it. He stripped away thick shoulder pads. He softened the lining. He selected fabrics that draped naturally rather than clinging rigidly to the body. The jacket no longer stood apart from the man wearing it. It moved with him. This radical approach gave birth to what would later be called the unstructured suit. At the time, it looked almost wrong. Critics questioned whether a suit this soft could still project power. Without sharp lines and armor-like construction, how could it command authority? Armani's response was simple and quietly revolutionary. True power does not need armor. The turning point came in 1980 with the film American Gigolo. When Richard Gere appeared on screen wearing Armani, the perception of men's fashion shifted almost overnight. The suit was no longer just corporate uniform. It became fluid, sensual, and confident. Gere's character did not dominate rooms through intimidation. He attracted attention through ease, composure, and self-possession. That moment changed everything. From then on, the Armani suit came to represent a new kind of masculinity. Relaxed yet controlled, discreet yet unmistakably powerful. It proved that elegance could come from subtraction rather than excess, and that the most influential revolutions in style do not announce themselves loudly. They simply redefine the rules. Before understanding why a Giorgio Armani suit is expensive, it is important to understand which Armani suit we are talking about. Armani is not a single price point. It is a hierarchy. The Armani hierarchy, Giorgio Armani mainline black label. This is the highest tier of ready-to-wear. Prices typically range from $3,000 to $10,000 and can go higher, especially with made-to-measure or bespoke work. This is where the full Armani philosophy is fully expressed. Soft structure. Premium materials. Italian craftsmanship. This is the line people are referring to when they talk about Armani as a symbol of power. Emporio Armani, more modern and fashion-driven. Slimmer silhouettes. More seasonal design. Prices usually fall between $800 and $2,000. It is more accessible, but it is structurally and materially different from the main line. Armani Exchange. This is not traditional tailoring. These are lower-end blazers and suits designed around lifestyle and branding. Prices typically range from $300 to $600. When people talk about the legend, the authority, and the high price of Armani suits, they are almost always talking about Giorgio Armani's main line, not the sub-brands. And it is at this highest level that scarcity begins to make sense. The price of a Giorgio Armani suit is not driven by hype or artificial exclusivity. It comes from deliberate scarcity. Scarcity created by materials, construction labor, and a philosophy that openly resists mass production. The fabrics. Armani favors extremely lightweight fabrics with properties very different from conventional suiting cloth. Ultrafine wool with very low micron density is common, chosen not just for durability but for how it drapes. These fabrics breathe easily, move naturally, and respond to the body instead of fighting it. Cashmere is often blended in to create softness and warmth without bulk. Silk linen blends are used to add subtle texture and fluidity without visual flash. Many of these fabrics are developed exclusively for Armani, produced in small quantities by Italian mills. They are not mass production friendly. If cut incorrectly, they lose shape. If sewn improperly, they collapse. That sensitivity alone limits how many suits can be made. The tailoring, unlike fused suits that rely on glue and heat pressing, Armani jackets are typically fully canvassed or half canvassed. Inside the jacket, layers of natural fiber canvas are shaped and secured, often by hand. This structure allows the suit to mold to the wearer over time, becoming better with age instead of breaking down. What makes this especially difficult is Armani's soft construction philosophy. Creating a stiff jacket is easy. Creating a jacket that is soft, fluid, and still authoritative is not. Soft tailoring leaves no margin for error. A sagging chest, a poorly rolled lapel, or uneven balance ruins the entire garment. This is where the real cost begins. Not in branding, not in marketing, but in time, precision, and highly skilled labor that cannot be rushed or scaled. And that labor is what ultimately makes a Giorgio Armani suit expensive. Armani's high-end suits are made in Italy, where tailoring skills are passed down through decades of apprenticeship. These craftsmen do not work fast, and they do not work cheaply. More importantly, they work under uncompromising quality control. Giorgio Armani is known for an unusually high rejection rate. Jackets that fail to meet exact standards never reach the sales floor. They are discarded early. That means wasted fabric, wasted labor, and lost time, all of which must be absorbed into the final price of the pieces that survive. In most fashion houses, efficiency drives profit. In the world of Armani, rejection is what creates value. But the most important reason for the price has little to do with fabric or stitching. It has everything to do with intent. Giorgio Armani never sold quantity. He sold form. He was not focused on how many suits left the store. He cared about how a man looked standing, walking, sitting, and aging in the same suit. His cuts were designed to soften the body without weakening it, to slim the figure without constricting it, to enhance presence without exaggeration. That level of obsession limits scale. You cannot mass-produce intuition. You cannot automate judgment. The more precise the vision, the fewer people are capable of executing it correctly. That is the real scarcity behind an Armani suit. A Giorgio Armani suit is expensive not because it is rare on the market, but because it is rare in its thinking. It belongs to a design philosophy that values minimalism over excess, patience over speed, and presence over visibility. And in an industry built on volume, that choice carries a very real cost. It is precisely because of this extreme price that the true power of a Giorgio Armani suit is not revealed when it hangs quietly on a rack. It is revealed in the places where it repeatedly appears. You see it on Wall Street, not because bankers are chasing fashion, but because their days are spent moving between offices, negotiations, and long meetings. You see it at the Oscars and at Cannes, not because it demands attention, but because it holds its ground under the harshest lights and cameras. And you see it on chief executive officers, politicians, and artists, people whose authority is already established and does not need visual reinforcement. This consistency is not accidental. Over the decades, Armani has become a trusted choice for figures such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Cate Blanchett, and Tom Cruise. These individuals move through radically different environments, from boardrooms to film festivals to global press tours, yet rely on the same visual language. Control, sophistication, timelessness. What ultimately makes the suit irreplaceable is how it performs in real life. First, comfort. An Armani suit can be worn for hours without fatigue. Sitting, standing, walking, and working feel natural rather than restricted. Second, versatility. The same suit works in a professional daytime setting and transitions seamlessly into evening events. It does not require dramatic styling changes to remain appropriate. It adapts quietly. And finally, effortless presence. Armani suits look powerful even when worn simply. No decorative stitching, no visual tricks, just proportion, balance, and restraint. The suit does not create authority. It amplifies what is already there. In a modern world where people constantly move between roles, expectations, and environments, that adaptability is priceless. That is why, decades later, Giorgio Armani suits remain not only relevant, but essential. No iconic garment escapes criticism, and Giorgio Armani suits are no exception. Skeptics often argue that the high price is driven mainly by the name, compared to meticulously structured British tailoring from Savile Row. They say Armani suits lack sharp precision and visible personality. The soft shoulders and relaxed silhouette are sometimes described as unfinished or too casual for the price point. Others point out that, despite costing thousands of dollars, most Armani suits are not fully handcrafted, especially when compared to traditional tailoring from Naples, where handwork is far more extensive. From this perspective, the criticism sounds reasonable. Why pay a premium for a suit that intentionally avoids rigidity, structure, and visual dominance? Supporters see it very differently. They argue that Armani's value lies precisely in what it refuses to do. Comfort is the first pillar. A non-rigid Armani suit can be worn for long days without fatigue, something many heavily structured suits struggle to offer. The body is allowed to move naturally instead of being locked into a fixed shape. Second is adaptability. Armani's cuts work across a wide range of body types. Instead of forcing the wearer to conform to the suit subtly adjusts proportions, softening lines and creating balance without aggression. Most importantly, the style is timeless. Armani suits do not rise and fall with trends. A well-kept suit from 20 years ago can still look relevant today, something few fashion-driven designs can claim. So the debate remains unresolved. Is the Giorgio Armani suit the pinnacle of subtle modern sophistication, intelligent and enduring? Or is it elevated minimalism, priced beyond its measurable construction? The answer ultimately depends on how you define luxury. Whether you value visible craftsmanship and tradition, or restraint, comfort, and longevity that quietly outlast fashion cycles. If viewed strictly as an investment, a Giorgio Armani suit is not a short-term asset. It does not appreciate in value. It has limited resale potential. Unlike watches or handbags, it is not designed to be traded, collected, or passed on as a financial instrument. But that misses the point. The real value of an Armani suit exists elsewhere. It is an investment in personal image, in long-term comfort, in a form of status that does not depend on logos, trend cycles, or visual signaling. Over time, the suit adapts to your body. The canvas softens. The drape improves. The garment becomes more personal, not less. It begins to feel like it belongs to you in a way few luxury items ever do. This is not an investment meant to be flipped. It is an investment meant to be lived in. A Giorgio Armani suit does not promise returns on paper. It offers something quieter and harder to measure. Confidence that does not need explanation. Comfort that lasts through long days. Presence that feels natural rather than constructed. And for the people who choose it, that return is more than enough. If you want a suit that makes people remember you, not the brand, Giorgio Armani is a sensible choice. If your goal is to show off, to signal status loudly, there are many more prominent brands that do that better. Armani is not about spectacle. It is about presence. It is not designed to perform for the room. It is designed to let the room perform around you. And if that idea resonates with you, if you appreciated this analysis of Giorgio Armani and what truly makes it valuable. Please like the video. Why is it so expensive? If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what topic you would like me to cover in the next video. See you next time.